di kita di workshop kita. Oke, sambil nunggu yang lain, mungkin kalau teman-teman ini boleh chat bisa. Oke, tes. Udah masuk belum ya suaranya? Oke. Selamat malam semuanya. Aku maaf tadi kayaknya suara aku nggak kedengeran. Jadi selamat datang di workshop Frontend Development yang akan dibawakan oleh Owenn Gimli. Mungkin kita mulai dengan perkenalan sedikit dengan Owenn Gimli ya, sambil nunggu partisipan yang lain. Mungkin Owenn bisa open cam, kenalan dulu nih sama teman-teman yang bakal dengerin workshop kita hari ini.
Halo semua, kalian nama aku Owenn, aku dari Bisnis Matematika Universitas Prasmul tahun 2019. Mungkin agak aneh ya dengar anak matematika bawain talk tentang web development, tapi ya itu semoga bisa membantu. Aku udah ngerjain web development selama ya kurang lebih 3 tahun sekarang ya, dan semoga bisa ya bagi knowledge-nya lah, share knowledge-nya sama teman-teman semua.
Nah ini teman-teman kalau mau ada yang ditanyain dulu ke Owenn, kayak kenalan-kenalan dulu, boleh lewat chat ataupun on cam, on mic juga boleh. Oke, kita masih nunggu partisipan yang lain. Oke, Owenn, gimana nih? Kamu belajar tentang web development dari mana sih? Kan kamu basicnya matematika nih ya, tapi bisa nih jago banget web development-nya. Nah, itu belajarnya dari mana kira-kira? Bisa di-share sama yang lain juga.
Kalau web development sih dulu belajarnya sempat karena dulu sempat bikin kayak startup gitu ya, startup kecil gitu. Terus ya udah interested buat bikin website. Terus ya udah deh belajar sendiri kan. Pertama kan emang kayak kayak di expose gitu ke coding kan sama Prasmul. Terus ya udah lama-lama belajar aja sendiri. Di internet kan sekarang ada banyak materinya tuh. Kalau kalian nyari di YouTube, di Google gitu, itu sebenarnya banyak banget materi-materi tentang web development. Dari basic sampai advance itu udah lengkap sih sekarang itu. Jadi kayak dulu tuh aku belajar sendiri, benar-benar belajar sendiri dari awal, nonton-nonton orang gitu gimana caranya mereka web development gitu. Ya gitu sih.
Keren banget ya guys, cuma belajar sendiri lewat video udah jago ini. Nah ini, tuh disapa sama Kevin Adrian Halim, sama Hananta.
Halo Vin, halo Hananta.
Oke, mungkin kita tunggu teman-teman sampai. Oh ini nih, ada yang tanya nih, Calvin. Tuh, kok mau nanya dong, kalau aku nggak pengen jadi programmer, tentu penting nggak sih belajar HTML, CSS? Gimana tuh, Wen?
Sebenarnya kalau untuk web development itu udah banyak ya, kan ada kayak bisa pakai programming, bisa juga pakai namanya CMS gitu ya, Content Management System, kayak WordPress atau kayak Wix gitu yang terkenal ya. Tapi mereka bagus, tapi kalau masalah tentang kayak customizable-nya itu ya, itu kalah jauh sih kalau dengan programming. Kalau aku dari baca-baca ya gitu ya. Aku sendiri nggak pernah nyobain Wix atau WordPress, tapi aku udah pernah kayak baca-baca dikit. Jadi kayak kalau emang kamu sukanya kayak web design tapi nggak suka programming gitu ya, ya bisa sih coba-coba WordPress gitu-gitu ya. Tapi kalau menurut aku kalau emang mau benar-benar customizable, benar-benar sesuai dengan keinginan kamu gitu ya, dan kamu nggak mau bayar gitu kan, saya Wix, kalau Wix sama WordPress itu kan harus bayar biasanya ya kalau emang mau lengkap fiturnya gitu. Jadi kalau memang maunya ya customizable dan nggak mau bayar gitu ya programming sih.
Oke, oke. Mungkin kita sudahi dulu ya sesi Q&A-nya. Kita bakal mulai sesi hari ini dengan sedikit pengenalan tentang apa itu GDSC, karena kan kita yang help event ini adalah Google Development Student Cup, khususnya yang di Prasmul. Nah, oleh karena itu, kita akan mulai dengan pengenalan GDSC oleh GDSC Lead Prasmul. Kita sambut Vincentius Christopher Calvin. Yeay. Silakan Calvin Onku.
Agak lawak.
Oke, bentar aku.
Ya, halo teman-teman. Thank you banget yang udah nyempetin buat register dan buat datang ke acara pertama, the first, tapi tentunya juga start beginning dari acara-acara lainnya pasti banyak akan kami adakan. Jadi sebagai sedikit konteks juga, GDSC Prasmul ini baru resmi diinitiate sekitar bulan kemarin, bulan akhir. Jadi ini benar-benar event pertama kita. Ini benar-benar GDSC Prasmul itu pertama kali diadakan juga tahun ini. Jadi harapannya nanti ini bisa menjadi suatu klub yang semakin bertumbuh besar dengan support teman-teman juga di sini. Jadi pertama kali dulu mungkin aku Calvin dari angkatan 18. Mungkin di sini juga nggak ada yang tahu, nggak apa-apa. Tapi aku juga jurusan Business Mathematics. Jadi basically di sini hampir semua dari Bismat, kecuali nanti ada Adeline sama Aurelia itu merupakan pengurus GDSC juga yang bantu aku selama ini. Mereka dari jurusan bisnis angkatan 19. Mungkin next dulu. Jadi mungkin di tahun lalu di Agustus akhir September awal sebenarnya kita sempat ngadain info session ya tentang apa itu GDSC, terutama di Prasmul. Cuman karena ada satu hal dan ya beberapa issues, akhirnya kegiatan kita harus dipostpone sampai sampai barusan ini kita resmi berdiri. Jadi aku ulang sedikit aja secara singkat. Jadi GDSC sesuai namanya itu Google Developers and Clubs. Ini merupakan suatu klub, suatu community, semua bisa free to join. Nggak ada prerequisite, oh ya aku harus bisa coding atau apa, enggak. Kita apa ya, we don't care kalian dari jurusan apa, kalian dari background apa. Kita di sini benar-benar suatu komunitas yang ya tujuannya belajar bareng, nanti solving problem bareng, dan ya pokoknya suatu safe haven lah, suatu environment yang sebisa mungkin kita provide supaya kita bisa belajar bareng. Dan kita akan mengadakan event-event juga tentunya juga dari aspirasi para anggotanya. Jadi kalian bisa banget request, oh ya kalian mau belajar misalnya machine learning atau belajar apapun, kita pasti ya sebisa mungkin akan provide. Kalau misalnya dari kita internal juga nggak bisa, kita nggak mumpuni dalam materinya, kita juga pasti akan collab sama Google Developer Expert di Indonesia yang memang kerjaannya dari industri gitu, kita juga pasti akan usahakan. Kita nanti secara engagement, kita harap nanti teman-teman yang di sini juga join. Nanti kita akan bikin suatu kayak grup Discord atau harapannya sih Discord. Nanti kalian bisa banget join. Di sana kita bisa ngobrol-ngobrol. Nanti kita akan ngadain bi-weekly meeting ya. Jadi kita kalau misalnya kalian interested buat join, kita akan ada bi-weekly meeting sebulan sekitar 2 kali. Dan itu diadakan setiap hari Selasa ya. Selasa jam 7 sampai jam 9, di mana kita di situ akan ngobrol-ngobrol, juga kita akan ngadain sesi belajar bareng-bareng yang temanya nanti akan ya banyak banget pokoknya. Terus sekedar konteks juga, jadi setiap tahun sebenarnya Google di seluruh dunia ngadain suatu lomba kayak hackathon gitu namanya Solution Challenge. Cuman di tahun ini udah lewat, jadi sebenarnya masih ongoing sih, tapi udah submission, jadi lagi presentasi, lagi tahap finalis dan sebagainya. Harapan nanti teman-teman yang di sini yang mungkin masih angkatan 19, 20, 21, mulai tahun depan nanti bisa submit karya-karya kalian, karena kayak aku di sini udah 18, jadi udah nggak bisa lagi, tapi aku harapannya kalian nanti tahun depan punya kesempatan untuk bisa submit di social channel itu. Terus next-nya, ya harapannya sih kayak tadi kita bisa bikin koneksi dari segala jurusan. Dari tadi aku lihat dari profil kalian ada yang dari bisnis, ada yang dari CSI, ada yang dari digital business, ada juga yang dari luar Prasmul juga. Welcome. Jadi kita bisa connect. Kalian bisa ajak teman-teman kalian juga, nggak harus dari Prasmul, bisa belajar bareng. Dan tentunya kita dari belajar kita juga bisa berkembang bersama. Terus ya paling itu aja, soalnya habis ini pasti sudah nggak sabar buat dengerin sesi dari Owen. Cuma sekedar konteks, kita sudah punya rencana banyak banget. Kita bisa belajar, ada Python. Python ini bisa dipakai buat siapapun, maksudnya nggak harus untuk orang data science, nggak harus untuk orang matematika, tapi bisa juga untuk orang bisnis buat analis atau sebagainya. Terus kita juga punya rencana buat bikin machine learning series menggunakan teknologi Google TensorFlow. Terus kita juga dari ini kan HTML CSS 101 nih, jadi kita pasti ada kelanjutannya. Advance dari ini kita punya series lanjutannya yang apa ya, pokoknya kita belajar terus menerus di satu topik yang sama supaya kita bisa bareng-bareng build project gitu. Dan kita tentunya akan belajar HTML, CSS, sedikit JavaScript mungkin nanti kalau misalnya nanti kita akan pakai React. Jadi ini 4 itu untuk web development semua. Dan itu pasti akan bisa diikutin, nggak harus punya prerequisite, cuman harapannya ya ikut semuanya supaya nggak lompat-lompat aja sih. Kita juga bisa belajar GitHub ini untuk collaboration di dunia development. Sama yang terakhir, mungkin kalau misalnya kalian punya bisnis atau punya apa, terus kalian pengen ngembangin aplikasi di mobil atau di website, kita masih butuh desain ya. Jadi kita akan nanti belajar cara pakai Figma juga. Cuman nggak di hari ini, kita belajar desain development dengan mengundang expert di industri. Paling itu aja dari aku balikin ke Aurel selaku moderator. Thank you semuanya. Kalau ada pertanyaan bisa chat di WA group, nanti kita akan ngobrol di situ juga.
Oke, thank you Calvin. Jadi itu sedikit pengenalan tentang apa itu GDSC dan kira-kira kegiatan kita ke depannya seperti apa. Nah, sekarang sebelum sesi ini dimulai, aku ingin ajak kalian nih buat sebentar kita kita kayak absen ya di webnya Google Development Student Club supaya nantinya kita bisa ke record nih. Oke, itu linknya aku udah paste di chat, mungkin bisa buka dulu. Jadi nanti selanjutnya apapun event kita itu nanti akan dapat diakses di website ini, di Google Developer Student Club ini. Jadi untuk sekarang kami mohon bantuannya untuk kalian bisa RSVP di sini terlebih dahulu untuk event yang hari ini. Oke, aku kasih tutorialnya sedikit ya. Jadi untuk bisa login ke acara hari ini, kita harus buat account terlebih dahulu. Gitu. Jadi klik dulu yang tombol login to RSVP ini. Kalau sudah, kalian bisa pilih account kalian, account Google kalian. Mungkin aku asumsikan yang di sini belum buat account-nya, jadi kalian bisa sign up terlebih dahulu. Kalian bisa pilih country, diisi aja sesuai profil kalian seperti apa. Ini kita bisa diisi Indonesia, ini opsional, nggak usah diisi. Time zone-nya Asia Jakarta. Terus ini juga kira-kira kalian ngapain sih mau gabung ke dalam GDSC ini kayak gitu. Misalkan learn something new, expand existing knowledge dan lain-lain. Dan ini kalian jenis kelaminnya apa gitu ya. Terus kalau sudah selesai tinggal klik sign up-nya. Kebetulan aku udah punya account, jadi di sini aku nggak akan sign up. Ini cuma peragain aja ke kalian gimana caranya untuk login ke dalamnya, ke dalam GDSC ini. Oke, mungkin ini sign up seperti biasa ya. Kalau udah bisa sign up, boleh chat di kolom chat juga. Kalau misalkan kalian udah sign up, mungkin aku change ke login. Nah ini, kalau kalian udah selesai login, nanti tampilan websitenya akan seperti ini. Oke, kalau udah bisa kalian tinggal klik RSVP ini aja. Dan isi ini seperti yang tadi, sama. Isi profil kalian, first name, last name, email, preferred pronouns, terus juga apa yang ingin kalian pelajarin di sini, dan kira-kira technical area of interest kalian di mana, kayak gitu. Kalau udah, klik submit aja. Gitu. Oke. Mungkin aku nggak akan lama-lama di sini, jadi aku cuma ingetin aja untuk isi attendance form-nya di sini ya, supaya kehadiran kalian ke record di sistem kita, kayak gitu. Oke. Kalau udah submit, nanti udah muncul kayak gini, RSVP confirm. Yang ini nggak usah diisi, nggak masalah. Jadi kalau udah muncul RSVP confirm, udah cukup sampai situ aja. Kayak gitu. Oke. Kalau misalkan kalian ada kendala, kalian bisa chat lewat chat aku lewat private chat ataupun di WA group ataupun di chat Zoom juga bisa ya. Aku nggak akan ambil waktu lama-lama lagi. Mungkin langsung aja aku kasih serahin ke Owen untuk kita mulai
Bentar,
sesi. Ya,
sekedar
kenapa?
konteks dikit buat teman-teman, itu yang di website tadi itu untuk loginnya cukup sekali. Maksudnya berikutnya nanti kalian kalau misalnya kita ada event juga dari sini semua, jadi agak ribetnya cuman sekarang aja, tapi selanjutnya pasti tinggal klik-klik juga. Dan GDSC ini juga merupakan suatu klub yang global, jadi kalian juga bisa cek event-event dari GDSC lain. Jadi di sini semua nanti pasti ada semua. Cuman itu aja sih. Thank you.
Oke, thank you Calvin tambahnya. Oke. Oke, aku stop share dulu. Oke. Oke, aku serahin sesinya ke Owen ya. Silakan Owen. Kita mulai sesi belajar hari ini. Oke.
Oke, ini udah pada bisa lihat screen aku kan ya? Oke,
Bisa.
Oke, aku izin nggak on cam karena kalau aku on cam kayaknya bisa meledak laptop aku sambil share screen. Jadi, jadi untuk hari ini mungkin aku bakal ngebahas tentang basic front end web development, tapi kemungkinan besar aku bakal nyampur Inggris sama Indo karena Indo aku agak kaku. Jadi ya, feel free to stop me along the way. If you have any question, just just write it in the chat box, or feel free to just turn on your mic and just like ask me the question, right? And if you think that I'm speaking too fast, feel free to tell me as well. Just tell me, Owen, please slow down. I'll slow down for you. That's no problem. So for now, I'll be pasting this link, this Notion link in the chat box. All right, this is a Notion link. This is basically like a Notion page where for all the material that I'll be talking about today. So feel free to refer back to it anytime you want. I won't be deleting this Notion at all. So in the future, if you're creating your own website and you need some guide, just feel free to open this Notion. And yeah, I'll be updating this Notion as well to make it as complete as I could. But yeah, overall, it's there. So yeah. So our agenda for today is that first we will be setting up our Visual Studio Code. And then we'll be talking about HTML5, which is the latest version of HTML. And then we'll get into CSS3. And then I'll just do a little bit of demonstration to show you how it really works between HTML and CSS. All right. So first of all, what you really need to do is to install Visual Studio Code. I mean, there are other text editor out there that you can use, such as Sublime Text or Notepad. It's really up to you, but for this session, I'll be using Visual Studio Code because I think it's very, it's very nice to use because there's like different extensions and those sort of things. I'll show you in a bit later. So just open up the Notion link that I sent to you in the chat box, and there's a link there, or you can just Google it. I'll show you in a bit. So you can just Google it. You can do google.com, and then you can just find Visual Studio Code. It should show up. It should show up as the first search result, and just press download, and just download according to your OS. Right? If you're using Windows, just download Windows, Linux, and then Mac. Once you're done, you should have something like this, Visual Studio Code. Yeah, and yeah, this is where we will be editing our HTML file and also our CSS file. So you'll need this. And then after you finish installing, you'll need to install the live server extension. I'll show you. So if you open up Visual Studio Code, and if you've already installed it, you can find the ones on the left side. You should have an extension menu, right? And this extension menu, you can just click on it and just try to find live server. Yeah, should be the first one. This is the logo of it. So you just need to install this one, and I'll show you in a bit why do we need this later on, all right, during the demonstration. So you need to install this, right? Is there any questions so far? Feel free to just type in the chat box or like just turn on your mic. Ini sesinya santai, Jadi anggap aja kayak kita belajar bareng, ya, kita mahasiswa bareng gitu kan, ya belajar aja gitu. Jadi santai aja. Okay, thank you, Han. Okay, if we are good to go, then we'll start. I'll continue on this one. Okay, so after text editing, so I'll be talking about two kinds of website, which is a static and dynamic website. So what are the difference between static and dynamic website? The difference between static websites and dynamic website would be that static website appears the same for everyone, right? For example, if I open up a link and you open up a link as well, it will show us the same thing, the exact same thing, right? It's very different from dynamic website. So an example of a dynamic website would be something like Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Like, so when you log into your account and you see all these posts, it's all different, right? According to who you follow, who you retweet, and what do you tweet, right? So it's all very different. Dynamic website, usually they pull data from the database, from API. So it shows according to what you are pulling from the database, right? So it's different. It's changing all the time. So when do we choose between static and dynamic website? Of course, dynamic website, we use dynamic website when you want to create something like a Instagram kind of website, right? Or you want to create something like a blog, right? Blog website. So because you're updating it constantly, right? You're pulling API, you're pulling data constantly, right? That's why you need dynamic website. But when do we want to use static website, right? So static website is basically, why do we use static website? Static website, because it's not changing, right? It's not changing, it's not pulling any data from the database. So it's very fast, right? It's very fast, it's very quick. So when you go to the website, it should load very quickly. And when do we want to use it? For example, we want to create a company profile, or you want to, for example, you have a startup, right? In Prasmul, it's very encouraged for us to be entrepreneur, and we want to create our own business, and we want to make it, we want to put it online on our website. We want to make a static website because we want it to be fast. When people go to your, when people go to Google, search for your website, they want to open it, they expect it to be fast. They don't want to be waiting for like 3 to 5 seconds just for your website to load, right? So they want it to be fast. That's why we're using static website. So for today, we'll be talking about HTML and CSS. So these two, I would say, not really languages, but this HTML and CSS, you can use them to create static website. Right? You cannot create dynamic website because you will need some more stuff, such as like a backend and a database, that kind of thing. But for if you are able to use HTML and CSS, you should be able to create static website, right? Any questions so far? Is anyone confused? Maybe. All right. Guess not. I'll continue. All right. So how I put it in one sentence is HTML is used to build your website, which is then styled using CSS. HTML is used to build, which means that HTML is literally the main structure of your website. I would say it's something like, for our body, we have skeleton. Our skeleton is the main structure of our body, right? Without skeleton, we won't be able to stand up, or like, just, be in our shape, right? Our form. So HTML is basically the main structure of your website. So how do we style this website to make it pretty, to make it beautiful, to make it, to make it attractive, right? We use CSS for that. So CSS is responsible for, like, if you want to make something bigger, smaller, change the color, or like maybe input images. You can put input images in HTML as well, but you can also do some more things with images in CSS. So you can do like animations, layouts, that kind of thing in CSS, right? So for the very first thing is, okay, so what is HTML? HTML basically stands for hypertext markup language. Hypertext means that the document contains links that allow the user to jump to other places in the document or to another document altogether. I'll show you during the demonstration what this really means, because it's very It's very tough to just put it into words. But once we see the demo, I think you will understand it more. And markup language is basically a language that how the computer speaks to one another, so that it can process text and what's being presented on the website, right? And HTML basically uses tags and attributes. I'll show you in a bit about tags and attributes. And like I said just now, I will be using the latest version of HTML, which is HTML5. So what are tags and attributes, right? So tags are usually I used to mark up the start of an HTML element, and they are usually enclosed in angle brackets. This This is basically angle brackets. I'm not sure why it's called in Indonesian, but yeah, it's angle brackets. So yeah, most tags must be open and closed, and they must be closed in the order in which they were open. I'll show you in a bit. And why do I say most tags? Because the tags that do not need to be open and closed, they have like a self-closing tag, such as the image tag. I will show you in a bit as well. And attributes basically contain additional pieces of information, and they usually take the form of an opening tag, and additional info is placed inside. I'll show you again in a bit, right? So if I go next, okay, this is an example of a HTML tags, right? So for the very first one, this is a heading tag, right? A heading tag means that it's a H1 tag, heading of type 1, which usually we use it as a title, right? Usually has the biggest font, or it's the boldest one, right? So this is H1 tag. This is an opening tag, and this is a closing tag. You can see the difference. The closing tag has a slash right before the H1. And for the white color one, this is the information that you want to input, that you want the computer to output onto the website. So in this case, it will render this is a heading tag on the website. All right. For the second one, this is another kind of tag, right? This is a P tag, paragraph tag. Paragraph tag, same thing. There's a closing tag as well, and this is attribute, right? So there's an attribute of class equals to, and this is the attribute value equals to description. I'll show you a bit why do we need this later on, right? And the third one is an example of a self-closing tag. As you can see, there's not an opening and a closing tag. It's just one line, and it's closed. It goes by itself. And there's an attribute of src, or you can call it source. So basically, this is an image tag. So when you want to upload an image onto the website, you use this tag. And source, basically, it tells you where's the picture from, right? So for example, in this example, we want to take the picture from this folder, the same folder, and we want to get the picture.jpg, right? And for alt is basically an alternate text. So here is an alternate text, and this is used for the computer to show you. It will render this text when the image doesn't load up. I'll show you in a bit as well. All right. And remember when I said that they must be closed in the order in which they were open. This is the example of it, the fourth of it. So the fourth example. So it's a strong M tag, and then it's the content, and there's the M tag and the strong tag. So it's like a layer. Like you can picture like an onion, like it's a layer. So you have to open strong, open M, and then we have to close M first, and we can close strong. Any questions so far about tags and attributes? It might seem a little bit confusing for now, but this is basically like the very basic foundation of HTML, and you need to understand what it does and how do you write it properly, and so for it to work. So if you have any question, just feel free to turn on your mic or write in chat box. Aman ya? Oke, kalau aman. Nah, for the tags and attributes, there are like tons of them, and I won't be able to cover like all of them. So you can open up your Notion. I've put a link in there. You can just find the HTML tags heading, and just click on the link right below it, and it should bring you to a website that explains different kind of tags and what it does, and there's also a website for attributes. So just feel free to open them and refer to them, and just use the proper text that the text that you really need for your website, right? And really understand what's the difference between them. It's really important. If there's any question, I will continue on. So this is a basic HTML structure. This is what you usually have in your HTML structure. Usually we have an opening text such as this. This is a doc type of HTML, which means that we are telling the document that we're telling the computer that this is a document that's using HTML, right? And then we have an opening HTML and a closing HTML tag. This is where we're gonna write between this HTML tag is where we're gonna write our HTML, right? And then there's head tag. Head tag this is where you write your metadata. So what is metadata, right? So metadata, I'll show you in a bit. For example, if I go to google.com and I try to find something called maybe Universitas Prasetya. Nah, contoh kalau yang seperti ini. Nah, ini kan ada title-nya, ya kan? This title, right? Jadi, this is called a metadata. So whatever that shows up here and shows up down here, this is all called metadata, right? So it's very useful for you to create a proper metadata for your website so that it shows the right information, and it helps in SEO. If you guys understand about SEO, search engine optimization, it's very useful. Jadi kayak seberapa relevan sih website kalian itu? Kalau misalnya kalian describe-nya bagus banget nih, memang relevan nih. Jadi kalau misalnya orang nyari satu bisnis, they want to find maybe a tapioca supplier in Indonesia, right? So this iklan means it's paid. So let's go for it. Yeah, this one. This is a metadata, right? And because this metadata is the most relevant to the search that the search query that I'm using, it will show me this at the top of the search result. So if your metadata is so good that like Google decides that your website deserves a high ranking, then they will show your website on top, at the very top of the search result. It's a bit confusing, but yeah, you can search it up. SEO Google search results. You can read more about it and what's SEO, what's Google search engine optimization, what's Google SEO. It's pretty complicated. It's another whole topic if you want to learn about web development. But it's very important, especially if you are creating such a thing, such as company profile, yeah, and such things, right? So it's very important for people to find out about your website. So next is about body tag. Body tag is basically where you write your content. So whatever you write inside of the body tag will show up on the website, right? That's basically it. And then next we'll get into CSS, or cascading style sheets. So CSS is basically the code that you use to style the web content, and you use CSS to selectively style HTML elements. I'll show you in a bit as well. What does this mean? And for example, if you want to style a paragraph element, you will do something like this. On top, we have an HTML element, right? A paragraph tag with the content of lorem ipsum dolor sit amet, right? Jadi bagaimana sih kita mau ubah contoh warna dari teks lorem ipsum dolor sit amet ini? So we use something called a CSS rule set. Below here, right below here, this is a CSS rule set. This is what you write in your CSS file. So basically, what it's finding from HTML is this is called a selector, right? It is called a selector, and this is a property of color, and this is a property value, which is red, right? So from this selector, it tells the program which one do I want to change the color to. So in this case, whatever for every element tag, which is a paragraph tag in HTML, I want them to be changed to color red. So color in CSS basically means text color, right? If you want to change the color of a background, you need to use background dash color. But for color, you need to remember that it changes the text color. So for all elements that use the P tag, it will be rendered as red color. All right. And there are different kinds of like CSS rules that you can do a lot of things with them. Like you can do like multiple tags at once, right? You can do a paragraph tags, anchor tag. Yeah, this anchor tag, and there's a heading 1 tag, h1 tag. So it means that for every element in HTML that's paragraph tag or anchor tag and h1 tag, they will be rendered as red color, right? And for ID name and class, this is represented using hashtag for ID. This is an ID attribute. I'll show you as well later on. And for dot, this is a class attribute, right? I'll show you in a bit as well. It's pretty confusing. So, all right, now we get into a demonstration. Has everyone installed their Visual Studio Code so you can, code along with me? Is anyone having any trouble with installing the Visual Studio Code? If there is any problem with the Visual Studio Code, feel free to ask me as well. And you can ask the other co-hosts as well. If there's no problem, I shall continue. Let's close this up. All right. So how do we use this Visual Studio Code? First of all, I want to make sure again everyone has installed the live server extension. So you just go to the left side of the Visual Studio Code and just find the extension menu, and just search out live server, and you should install this one. You might need to restart your Visual Studio Code, but if you really need to, then just restart it. It shouldn't take a while. It should just take a while. Yeah. So once you're ready, just create a new folder. You can create this anywhere you want. I'll be creating it in my desktop. I'll just call this HTML CSS 101. Right, and then how I open it on Visual Studio Code, I can use the open folder button, right here, or you could just drag and drop it onto your Visual Studio Code. Right. So I'll explain a bit of Visual Studio Code right here. So there's an Explorer. So this is your file explorer. So you want to find your files down here, folders, all inside here, right? Search is basically where you want to find like syntax, right? Anywhere in your folder here. So yeah, if you want to find something, maybe like you want to find a file, or you want to find a certain keyword, you can find it here, right? You might not have all this. I've installed this by myself, so don't worry about it. So these are the 3 main components of Visual Studio Code that you learn: Explorer, search, and extensions. Right? There are many like a lot of extensions that can be useful if you love coding. So yeah, feel free to like explore by yourself. So okay, if we will start with creating a new file. This is called creating a new file right here. Create a new file, we'll call it index.html. So why do we call it index.html? Because when we deploy our website onto like a server, right, the server will basically automatically find index.html as the very first, like the very home page, right? So that's why we want to create index.html as the home page. And then for any other pages that you want to create, you can just create whatever it's maybe product page, right? Just get product.html. Or you want to create maybe like about us page, about us.html. Yeah, you can do that. But for the very main home page, you will need index.html. All right. Now just keep the about us page. Yes. Yeah. All right. So the good thing about The good thing about Visual Studio Code is that there's something called emmet abbreviation. So for example, if I want to create an HTML template, I could just do it by typing an exclamation mark. As you can see, there's a suggestion and it says here emmet abbreviation. So when I click this and I press tab, it should generate me an HTML, like a fresh new HTML template. As you can see, there's a doc type, there's an HTML, there's a heading, there's a head tag, and there's a body tag. Right. So after you've done this, you could press right down here. You should find a little button called Go Live. This is from the live server extension that you guys have installed just now. So just press it on it, Go Live, and this should open up your browser. As you can see, there's nothing yet down here because I have not written anything inside of the body tag. So yeah, for example, if I write something, right? If I write, for example, H1, and I want to maybe write hello GDSC participants. Yeah. So if I press save on this should reload by itself. So live server actually supports hot reloading. What does hot reloading means? That whenever you save the file in your Visual Studio Code, it should reload your browser automatically. Ya, jadi kalau misalnya aku ganti misalnya tambah satu lagi, kalau aku save, secara otomatis dia akan reload di sini. Okay. So now there are different kind of tags like I showed just now. Maybe I can write like maybe okay, let me just turn this off. Disable globally. Okay. Let's maybe write title 1, and then I could write maybe a paragraph tag, lorem 10 words. And I'm just gonna copy this, title 2. If I save this, you should have something like this, title 1 and a paragraph tag, title 2 and a paragraph tag. Okay. So this is so wherever you write in the body tag, it should render out inside of the browser. Like these are very basic things of it, right? And then we can write many things. Like the important tags such as the anchor tag, the one I showed just now. For example, if I can type this, this is a link. This is why it's called hypertext. Remember when I talked about HTML, hypertext markup language, hypertext? This is because we have something called a hyperlink that we can click on. I'm sure you have seen this somewhere. When you click on this, it should bring you to somewhere, right? Jadi kayak ada namanya attribute called href. Href is basically it's the hypertext, the hyperlink, and you can put anything inside here. For example, if I have another page, right, about us, just create this, and maybe I create H1 about us page, right? And I create a link. I'll say I'm gonna say about us.html. So this link now works. So if I press on it, it should bring me to the about us.html. So it should render about us page. All right. This is why we call it hypertext. Right. You can do a lot of things with it. You can do like href doesn't have to be another HTML file. I can type in maybe https www.google.com. So now when I press on this, it should brings me to Google. Simple, right? So there are many different tags. So you can just if you don't want to open the Notion, you can just find HTML tags. There are tons of them. So you can just like read. Yeah, see there are like a lot of them. So yeah, just take your own time, read around it, like H1 to H6, header, HR. Yeah, just yeah, a lot. So take your time. Another one would be something called, this is a self-closing tag, just image, right? You have seen this before. Right now is that it's not showing any image because I've not inputted any source to it. So example, if I go and find a new image, let's go and find a new image, right? What do you guys want? Maybe dog image. Oh, this is cute. Okay, let's use this image. Okay, for example, okay, let's choose this. So usually, when you go to Google Images, for example, you can right click on it and you can copy image address, right? So if you actually open a new tab and you paste the image address, right, and you enter, and it should brings you up, brings you the image, right? So you can actually use this link right here to load the image. Okay, for example, if I just down here, SRC, paste it, save it, go to, there you go. It should load the image, right? Something like that. So basically this could be anything. It could be a link, or even you could like, you could do something like maybe, let's open up this, maybe download another picture of a dog, maybe this one, it's pretty cute. Let's just save image as, let's save it into desktop, HTML CSS 101, let me save it as a doc.jpg, right? So right now, this should be a doc.jpg inside your folder, right? So what you could do right now is you could, instead of putting in a link down here, right, you can put doc.jpg, and it should show us the same image. There you go. Hello. So yeah, so this is what basically what image tag does, right? You could do like alternate text. For example, if I do this is a picture of a dog. So for example, if the image doesn't load, for example, if there's a connection problem or the link that you're using is broken, right? It will show this text instead. So I'll show you in a bit. Let's hold it a bit, right? So for example, if I put a docs.jpg, which I do not have at all, it should not load. So if I save this, there you go. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you've seen this somewhere when you try to load a website and it's not loading. It should show something like this. So this is called an alternate text. So it's alt equals to this is a picture of a dog. So this is what the website will render instead. So yeah. Any questions so far? Tell me if I'm speaking too fast. Okay, I tend to speak too fast sometimes. Gimana? Yang lain? Ramai juga ada ber-20. Halo Bas. Halo Koko Arik. Okay. If you're good to go, then I'll continue on. This is basically like the very main, like it's like a few example of HTML tag, but there are tons of it more. So like I said just now, feel free to just open up the website just now I showed you. So yeah, I'll continue on. Maybe I'll go to CSS, right? So I'll delete all of this. I'll just have maybe H1 tag, and it's a title. This is a title, and save this. Right? I'll just close this. Create a new file. So how we would usually structure your project folder, right? Well, is that we will have a I'll delete all this. Move to trash. Move to right. Usually you have an index of HTML in your main folder, main project folder. And then we'll create a new folder called styles. And here is where we usually put in our CSS files. So let's just create a new file inside of that folder and just maybe write styles.css. Right? So this will create a new CSS file. And yeah, this is where we will be writing our CSS rule sets. So for example, we have maybe a H1 tag, and we can write maybe like a color red, right? But when you save this shouldn't do anything. Why? This is because we haven't linked the style CSS onto the HTML file. So how do we link it? So for us to link it, we'll need something called a link tag. So when you go to the head tag up here, and you just write link, it should give you an abbreviation, but if it doesn't, you should write something like this. Link rel equals to style sheet and href, and this is basically, like I said, it's a hyperlink, right? So you want to refer to the style.css, the one that we just created. All right. So for in this case, we want to say that it's inside of this folder, and we're going to find something called the styles folder, and we want to refer to the styles.css. It's a bit confusing, maybe, if you're new to programming, but dot means that I want to find it inside of this folder, means that inside of this HTML CSS 101 folder. And inside of this folder, I want to find a folder called styles, right? And inside of the styles folder, I want to find a CSS file named styles.css. Everyone good enough? Everyone's clear? Okay, I hope everyone's clear. Yeah. So when I save this, the page should reload and it should be red right now, right? So now whatever you're doing in your CSS file, it should apply into your HTML file. I'll just make it this smaller a bit. All right. For example, if I have a P tag, right? Lorem, maybe 10, save it. It should give me this. And the P tag, I want to make it bigger, maybe font size. Maybe I'll do like 20 pixel. If I save this, this should be bigger, right? If I want to make it 32 pixel, it's even bigger, right? So CSS is really like very powerful. It's very simple, very basic kind of stuff. Like all the property, if you can see, maybe if I want to do font family, if you want to change the font weight, maybe make it bold. There you go, it will be bold. It's very straightforward, the naming, all of it. But then it gets very complicated as you go along, especially when you have a bigger project or with a more complicated designs. Then you need to play around with CSS more. All right, let's just put this at 20 pixel. All right. So the one that I talked about just now about classes and ID. So right now we're using the selector as an element tag, right? There you go. Like this tag, we're using it here, but we can do something called class. So, for example, if I copy this, this is another title. Save it. All right, it should be the same one because it's all H1, right? It's all H1 and it's all the same tag, which is P tag, right? Paragraph tag. So it should apply the same styling to all of them, right? But what if I want to style only one of them, right? For example, if I want to style this H1 tag, so maybe I can just I can use something called class attribute equal. I could give it a name, whatever I want. It's up to you, whatever you want. You can call it maybe title 1, right? Title 1. So if I change down here, if I write title 1, I use dot because it's a class, right? Dot title 1, and I put in opening and closing curly brackets, and I change the color maybe to blue, right? If I save this, this should change the first title to blue. That's the use of classes, right? So maybe we have multiple H1 tags inside our file, but we want to differentiate them. They have different styles, right? We could use something called class. All right. You could also use something called ID. If I use ID down here, maybe this title 2, right? And how we refer to ID is by using hashtag. So it's about hashtag title 2. Okay, I have to disable this. Disable globally. Sorry about that. So title 2. Maybe I want to change the color to, what do you guys want? Maybe blue violet. Yeah. Like purple, something. So if I save this, this should be in purple or blue violet, right? So you might wonder, why is this not applied, right? Because it's sort of like a priority kind of thing. So they prioritize classes and ID. ID has the highest priority, and then the second one is classes, and then the elements, the element tag, right? So in this case, if I even if I have this, it won't be rendered as red at all because it has classes right here, and it's also title. ID attribute, right? So now you can, for the color tag, you can do like hex code, or you can even do RGBA. It's all up to you. RGB. If I want to be black, 0.0.0, it will be black, and you can do maybe like RGBA means this is the opacity. I can make it 0.5 to make it a little bit transparent, right? This won't show transparent. It will be because the background is white, so it shows like it comes out like a gray color thing. Yeah. So yeah, you can do all of this thing. So yeah, that's basically it for like CSS as well. It's very basic that you can do all of this thing with CSS. But it gets very complicated as well. So you can read about CSS. You can find like CSS basics. Like you can go to this website. It's very useful. I'll copy and paste it into the link. Into the chat box so for everyone. You can read up on it because it explains a lot of things about CSS. It would be very useful. And yeah. For next, I'll be talking about margin and padding, which could be a little bit difficult, right? Okay, maybe before that, I'll talk about div. Maybe we have a tag called div. Usually we wrap our code inside of it. So for example, let's open up a website, maybe apple.com. Okay, this is so big. Okay, usually in a website, there's like sort of like a structure, all right? Usually we have a header, this is a header, right? Right up to the black background. And inside of header, we have something called a nav bar. This is a navigation bar. This is for your user to navigate through your website, right? And then there's something called like a header kind of thing. Like you can put many things on here. For example, in a company profile, you usually put your tagline, right? Why you're so good about why you should choose this company, or why you should buy our product, right? And then you have the content. As you scroll down, there's a content. There's iPhone 15 Pro, iPhone SE, and more content. And then at the end, you have something called a footer, right? So how would I divide this, right? I'll divide this basically usually using section and div, right? So there's something called basically, I'll make it this bigger, okay. I'll usually divide this into section. So we have a section tag, and there's also a div tag. So how do I usually differentiate them? I mean, this is personal, I would say. Kayak setiap orang beda ya, bagaimana mereka mau structure website mereka. Tapi kalau for myself, I'll usually do it something like this. Instead of a section, I'll have my div, right? So for example, if I have a section and I'll give it a class name of header, right? And I have another section with a class of maybe content, or maybe promos, yeah. And then I have another section maybe called class of products, and then I have another section called footer, basically the end of it. And inside of this, each section is where I'll put divs, like different divs where I'll wrap my, for example, okay, maybe for navbar it's slightly different. Because we have a nav tag, right? We can use nav, but you can also use div. That's not a problem at all. And then inside of this div, maybe we have like an image, which is we can put a ID of logo, right? And usually we put a logo inside of a navbar, such as this. This is a navbar logo, Apple logo. So we can do this, and then maybe we have like apple.png somewhere. This is a logo. This is the Apple logo, something like that, right? And then inside of this, maybe we can give this a class, maybe call it navbar. So navbar basically stands for navigation bar. Yeah, like I said just now, it's for you to navigate through the website. And yeah, maybe we have different hyperlinks down here. Right? We have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 links, but we could do like a list. Okay, I'll be using some quite like different tags that I haven't shown you just yet, but you can read up on them by yourself because I won't be able to cover all of them. But yeah, I'll be using UL. UL stands for unordered list. So inside of this unordered list, I can do an LI. LI stands for list item. So when I do this, I can maybe write iPhone, or I can do iPad, or maybe what's it? iWatch? Is it Apple Watch? It's not iWatch. Apple Watch. So, yeah. So if I go to my website right now, it should be a list right here. Right? Should be a list, and yeah, this later we'll use CSS to style them, so it turns out to be something like this, right? This is called CSS layouts. Yeah, you need to learn about them, and when you go in depth about CSS, it's pretty complicated, and it gets pretty frustrating at times. But don't worry, that's programming. But yeah, it can be pretty fun as well. So inside of this div, this is like basically the very main structure that I'll usually follow. For example, in this one, I have maybe like a class. Maybe I'll call this what do you have this? Different kind of promos. Maybe you have like a promo Lebaran. So maybe I'll show all the items that's being promoted for Lebaran. Tuh. Terus mungkin ada div lagi satu untuk promo mingguan, for free, gitu. This is called comments, by the way. You can do this, like you can follow this structure. Basically, this a comment in programming means that you can write anything you want. I can write anything I want, and it won't be processed as a code, right? It's for you like to just like, just to make notes for yourself, right? Something like that. Kira-kira ada pertanyaan so far sejauh ini? Mungkin bagian ini agak membingungkan ya sedikit. Soalnya you have to get used to it. You have to keep on learning about it. You have to keep practicing. But along the way, once you get used to it, it's actually very easy. It's very intuitive. But yeah, kira-kira ada pertanyaan nggak ya? Rick, jangan DM malah Rick. Gimana sih Rick? Ketahuan kan DM-nya. Gimana? Yang lain kira-kira ada pertanyaan nggak? Mungkin Aurelia Feodora, Aurellia Christie, Cici Aurel, Ko GB, gitu-gitu. Kalau aman, kan pakai Ko kan, mulai. Oke, kalau sejauh ini aman, kita sekarang akan bahas tentang padding dan margin, which can pretty confusing. So I'll show you in a bit. I'll have maybe a div called background. Inside of this div, I'll have maybe a paragraph tag, maybe a lorem one. Right. So I have a div, and inside of that div is a paragraph tag consists of 21 words. So in my CSS, okay, let's just put it something like, okay. Ini kalau aku kecilin, terlalu kecil nggak buat kalian? Segini oke lah ya. Okay, maybe it's inside of it. I'm gonna, okay, yeah, thank you, Han. Inside of this HTML, CSS, I'll delete all of this, right? And maybe make it something like this. Okay, for the background, maybe I want to change the background maybe to red. Color red. So this will change whatever inside. So for example, if I have like multiple text right here, right? If I have like this is another title, it'll all be red. Why? Because it's inside of this div called background. So all text inside of this div will render as red. That's what it does. So color is basically text color. Yeah, but you don't have text color in CSS. You have only have color, right? So I'll put it as white for now. Right, you can't see anything, just white. But I'll change the background color as well. So if I change background color maybe to red, it's just blue. Right. There you go. Okay, for this purpose, I'll do something like this. This margin 0, heading 0, box sizing, border box. Right, you don't really have to care about this. Because by default, some elements in HTML has like margin and padding. So what I'm doing is that for all elements, what I'm doing here is basically for all elements. That's the star for. Star means that for all elements from HTML, all text, I want them to have a margin of 0 and a padding of 0. Right? For box sizing, I'm not really sure how I can explain this, but you should read up by yourself. But this basically resets it. So except if I don't have this like this now. See, there's a padding on top and the side of it, which I do not want, which could really mess up my design later on when I play around with margin and padding. So I'll usually write this rule set up here right before I start to basically reset the margin and padding, right? For now, what you can see now is that it's a text with a background of blue, right? So when I want to add padding to it, what's padding, right? Padding is basically the space inside of the div, right? I'll show you. Maybe if I put a padding top, yeah, I'll put maybe like a 10 pixel, right? So it adds a padding inside of the box, which is the blue color background, and it pushes down the text by 10 pixel, right? If I do maybe padding left, maybe 20 pixel, it will push the text 20 pixels to the right. That's called padding left. So on the left, there's a padding. But remember, it's inside of this blue box. So far, so good? Or you have any question? Okay, I believe all good so far. All right, I'll show you about margin now, right? If I do a margin top and I add 10 pixels to it, see, it will push the box down 10 pixels. So it's outside of the box. That's the difference between margin and padding, basically. So the margin is the space outside of your box, like outside of your div or section or whatever it is. It's outside of your element. Padding works inside of your element. Anyone confused so far, maybe? So if I add maybe a margin right of 10 pixel, it should push the box to the left by 10 pixel, right? It's very different from padding. Okay, maybe I'll delete this. Right, should reset it. Okay, if I change this to padding, okay, before I save it, this is a margin. It means it's empty on the right side of the box. If I put padding, it should reset it, but it should give me a 10 pixel space on the right side, but it's now inside of the box. A little confusing, right? But this is where usually web developers get confused. Like they usually mess up with margin and padding, and this can cause like serious issue like forward, because when you want to create a website, you want to create a website that's able to look good on your laptop or your computer, but it also is supposed to look good on your handphones as well, right? So it's very important that you understand about margin, padding, and how you play around with it. So yeah, so you can do a lot of things with this. Like if you want to, okay, let's say the background, I want to make it have a height of maybe 500 pixel. So now it should be 500 pixel with only one padding, which is padding top of 10 pixel. That's why there's a little space up here. If I do this, you can see there's a slight right on the on top of the red line. There's a space on top. This is 10 pixel, right? So okay. Now if I want to do a padding, maybe I put a padding of maybe 200 pixel, right? All right, sorry. Okay, so 200 pixel, it should push down 200 pixel, right? And if I do maybe a padding right of 100 pixel, maybe okay, 100 pixel is good enough, and a padding left, padding. Okay, this should be good enough. It should be something like centered kind of thing, right? You can do a lot of things. Like you can there are like many different ways to achieve a design on CSS, like a certain concept of design on CSS. Like if I want to center this, I can do like something like this, right? But you can do like different. You can have like alternate ways that you can center like a text inside of a div. So yeah, this is one of the way I'm showing you. So you can padding top 200 pixel, which pushes down 200 pixel, and from the right and left, there's 100 pixel of space, right? So this is very long, right? You can actually shorten this by using just a padding. So how do we specify that? 200 pixels. So we just write 200 pixel, and we have 100 pixel, and we write 0, and we have 100 pixel, right? So what does this tell you? Basically, this is the padding top. This is padding right, this is padding left, and this is padding, sorry, this is padding bottom, and this is padding left. So it's basically like a counter, so it's like a clockwise direction, right? Top, right, bottom, left. So if I actually delete this, and I save this, this should give me the same result. Yeah. Anyone confused maybe so far? Ada yang bingung atau mungkin nggak ngerti? Boleh nanya. Anyone encountering any problem? Maybe it's not reloading, or maybe it's throwing you an error somewhere. Jadi kayak feel free to ask. Ini sesinya santai. Jadi kayak jangan terlalu formal ya. Santai aja. Nggak gigit kok. So far so good. Okay, so far so good, yeah. So basically, like this is the very main. You have to really understand like the very basic of it, like padding and margin is very important. So if I change this to margin, anyone has any answer what would happen here? The same thing, right? This margin top, margin right, margin bottom, and margin left. So if we do this, what will happen? Anyone has the answer? Ada yang tahu kira-kira apa yang akan terjadi? All right. So if I actually save this, this should, there you go. So it should push the box down 200 pixel, and the left and right has a space of 100 pixel. That's all thing. Right? You might see why it's like down here, because it's pushing the box down, right? So the whole height, this is a 500 pixel height, right? It's being pushed down. What? Yeah. Jadi 500 pixelnya ini pasti ngikut turun gitu. Karena ini margin, dia benar-benar nge-push down gitu. Semua box itu dia push down gitu. Right? Everyone's good? Okay. Now, if you are good, I'll show you, maybe we still have time. I'll show you about CSS layout, which could be quite confusing again, but pretty fun. Okay, I'll create a div, maybe call this box1, and another div, maybe call it box2. Oh, you can do this, by the way. Emmet abbreviation actually supports this. If you write .box2 and you press tab, this should give me a div class equals to box2. Right. So if you want to make maybe a section called header, you can do something like this. Dot means it's a class, right? So I want to create a section tag with a header class. So if I actually press this, it should give me a section with a class of header. That's why I use Visual Studio Code. I'm not really sure if text editor lainnya to support something like this, Emmet abbreviation, but so far I'm just using Visual Studio Code because it's very powerful. So it makes your coding experience much nicer and like quicker as well. Oh yeah, so I have two boxes right now. It's empty. Okay, for this two box, I want to make it of different color. Maybe I'll have a width of 100 pixel and a height of 100 pixel as well, and background color of maybe let's give it a red color. And as a box2, I'll give it a width of 100 pixel as well, and make it a height of 100 pixel as well, and it's a background of blue. Right. If I save this, it should give me a two box. Right. A div spans like the whole width of a website, a whole width of the browser width, viewport. We call it viewport. So that's why it's even though there's still space on the right side here, it will still it will load on the bottom of it. Yeah. So what if we want to maybe create it side by side, right? This is where CSS layouts work. Like this is where we need CSS layouts. Jadi CSS layout itu ada banyak, ya. For example, if I create, okay, let's put this into a section. Let's call this box wrapper. Something like this. Sorry. And I put all of this inside here, right? So ada banyak CSS layout. Ada yang namanya satu tuh ada flexbox, dua ada grid, dan ketiga itu kalau nggak salah namanya floats, right? But the two main CSS layouts that are being used nowadays are like grid and flexbox. So if you want to learn about CSS layout, you should learn these two. You should master them at least one of them. Yeah, it's very useful. So for today, I'll be talking about flexbox. Yeah. So for flexbox, I could do something like this. I could do like box wrapper. So I'm calling this wrapper for this section class box wrapper, and I can use display flex. Right, flex and flex was same thing. So if I press display flex, I save this, the blue box will move to the right. That's why we so flex basically turns your element into like inline sort of thing. Like in how do I say this? Basically that's what it does. It basically brings your element into like in one row. Yeah. So for as a default, there's something called a flex direction. For default, this is usually we set as row because you see it will be set as a one row. But if I change this to column, it should switch back to normal, right? So column it should be upside down, up and down, and for row it should be left and right. As a default, it's row, so you actually don't have to specify this. You just have to write this in flex, and it should be a left and right. All right. There are different things that you can do with display flex. such as justify content center. If I do this, this should go to the center of the page. So if I actually zoom this out, there you go. This should be in the middle of it. Justify content center, and you can only do this when you have display flags on. Alright. Jadi ada banyak macam ya. Ada justify content, ada juga align items center. Okay, align item center basically it puts your elements kayak di level yang sama gitu. Kayak jadi misalnya contoh nih, aku nggak ada ini ya. Mungkin ini kita ganti jadi height-nya jadi 50 pixel. There you go. So this is 100 pixel, this is 50 pixel, right? Jadi if I use align item center, there you go. It will be centered vertically, yeah, vertically. Secara vertikal, center, gitu. So it's very useful. You can do like a lot of things with this. Justify content has a lot of property value. Center is one of them. You can do space around. You should. This is same. So if you actually divide this into two, right? And this space should be equal to this space, and this space should be equal to this space. That's called space around. Or you want a space between. It should push all of it to each end. So the red should be on the left side, and the blue should be on the right side. Right? This is called CSS layout. There's also something called space evenly. Yeah, space evenly means this space should be equal to this space, and it should be equal to this space. Right? It's a little maybe it's a little bit advanced, and it might be quite confusing for you if this is your first time, but it's a good practice to learn about them because it's very useful. Jadi for example, if let's go to my own, let's not go to my website, let's go to this. Jadi kayak gini, contoh ini kan ya udah ini dari kiri ke kanan satu div aja gitu kan. Tapi kalau kita scroll ke bawah, contoh kayak ini aku sukanya biasanya aku suka ubah dia jadi kayak HTML structure-nya itu ada 2 div. Jadi ini div pertama, ini div kedua, right? So dan karena ada 2 div ini pasti ada satu section yang kayak yang nge-wrap semua ini ya kan. Nah, jadi kita bisa pakai display flags buat ini agar dia kiri kanan gitu. Kiri kanan, jadi ini kan 100% nih width-nya. Nah, kalau ini kan dia kebagi jadi 2, 50-50 gitu. Nah, kita bisa pakai display flags tentunya buat ini. Dan bagusnya itu misalnya kalau ini aku kecilin, nah nggak lama lagi ini dia dalam bentuk HP, lihat ini jadi atas bawah kan. Nah jadi nanti itu kalau di CSS ada yang namanya media query. So what is media query? Media query is basically it detects the screen size. Jadi screen size-nya itu seberapa gede sih, ya kan? Kalau HP kan pasti kecil gitu. Biasanya 768 pixel ke bawah itu bisa udah mobile device. 768 itu bisa tablet sih. Tapi kayak below that it should be phone size, right? Jadi kayak ntar kita bisa, misalnya contoh sekarang ini kan, tadi kan aku bilang dia pakai flex direction row kan. Nah nanti misalnya kita pakai media query, contoh media query kayak gini. Okay, this might be a little bit advanced. I'm sorry, but I'll just show you how it works for now. Media query, media screen, and max width of 768 pixel. And maybe we do a box wrapper, and we change this to flex direction. Okay. Nah, jadinya kayak gini. Tuh. Jadi kalau kayak gini, berarti dia sekarang kiri kanan. Kenapa? Karena screen size-nya gede, ya kan? Biasa di PC gitu, atau di laptop, dia kan gede, ya kan? Lebar. Nah, dia mengecil. Pada saat dia menyentuh pixel 768 pixel, ya, berarti ini adalah 768 pixel. Kurang dari 768 pixel, dia akan berubah jadi kolom. Gitu. So that's why we need flex direction as well. That's why we use display flex as well. That's why I love to use display flex because I think it's very simple, it's very useful. And yeah, if you want to create this kind of website, it's very You can do a lot of things with it. You just have to get creative with it. Ya. Jadi contoh misalnya aku ke website aku, jadi kayak gini, contoh kayak gini. For this page, for this section, I have a section that tells visitors about me, right? Jadi yang sebelah kiri ini ada satu div, ya. Sebelah kanan ada satu div. Div yang sebelah kiri itu akan mengisi tentang mengisi foto saya, foto aku, gitu ya. Dan sebelah kanan itu akan mengisi detail-detail, gitu. Misalnya aku mau tulis apapun, kayak contoh mainnya tentang Gimli, bla bla bla. And yeah, that's what this. So this is a different div. And inside of this section, I can use a display flags. So when I actually when I make this smaller, okay, not small enough. There you go. This display flags. So when it reaches a certain pixel down here, ya, dia akan menjadi column. Flag sectionnya jadi column. Jadi yang tadi fotonya di kanan kiri, sekarang jadi atas bawah. Gitu. That's the use of flexbox. Right? So that's basically that's not basically it, but that's like the very basic of it. Okay, you can like learn more about it. There's something called flex basis and flex grow, shrink. All these things is it could be it's quite advanced, but if you want to make good website, you should learn about them. And yeah, that's basically it. Maybe for CSS. I'll get back maybe to like HTML, right? Just now, tadi kan aku udah ngomong tentang apple.com, strukturnya kayak gimana gitu ya. Nah, misalnya kita kayak ini kan ada headernya, di atas ada navbar, dan seterusnya ada konten gitu ya. Nah, tidak semua website itu seperti itu. Not all website is like that. So you can get creative as you want. Tapi biasanya emang kalau kita membuat suatu website, misalnya kayak e-commerce, if you open Shopee, right? On top there should be a navbar, right? And content, blah blah blah, category, gitu. Nah, jadi strukturnya itu benar-benar terserah kalian sebagai web developer. Terserah kalian, bukan terserah kalian juga sih, kayak tergantung desain dari kalian gitu. What's the purpose of your website? Gitu. If you have a website that sells things, so yeah, your design team, that's right. Tim desain atau kalian desain sendiri gitu, benar-benar tergantung desain kalian. Nah, jadi nggak harus selalu kayak gini. Bisa aja navbarnya di atas, bisa navbarnya di bawah, di kanan, di kiri, terserah. Gitu. Jadi ini benar-benar, kadang ada website yang kayak gini, ada footernya gede banget gitu. Ada juga website yang nggak perlu footer sama sekali. Contoh, website aku. Nah, navbarnya nggak ada di atas. Ya kan, cuma ada satu button, resume. Terus navbarnya itu ada sebelah kiri sini. Ya kalau aku pencet, baru dia muncul. Gitu. Jadi benar-benar terserah. Itu benar-benar terserah dengan kalian gitu. Ini comes back again with this comes back to UI and UX design, yeah. How you want your user to feel when they use your website. Is it useful? Is it kayak berguna nggak ya kalau desainnya seperti ini tuh berguna apa enggak gitu loh, kayak do they really, kayak misalnya kalau contoh navbar emang nggak terlalu penting, misalnya di website aku, website kan maksudnya nggak terlalu penting gitu kan navbarnya, jadi ya aku sembunyiin aja gitu, and it shows up when it's needed gitu. So it's not always on top. It won't be blocking any view gitu. Nah, selain itu, contoh kayak website aku juga, ini di paling bawah nggak ada footer. Ya kan? Soalnya kalau kita mau buat suatu portfolio gitu kan, we don't need a footer. Why? We wanna know like anyone who visits our website. Example, if they look through our website and they are actually interested in working with us, pasti yang mereka mau itu, oke, bagaimana saya bisa kontak orang ini, gitu kan? Jadi balik lagi, what's the purpose of your website? Is it a company profile, or is it portfolio, or is it e-commerce? It's very different, right? It's all based on design, and it's a whole another topic, ya. Itu harus belajar sendiri sih. Itu benar-benar, kalau aku sih belajar desain sama ini benar-benar dari lihat orang gitu, mereka desainnya seperti apa. Di YouTube banyak banget websitenya keren-keren, tapi memang susah gitu. Tapi it's a good thing if you try to follow kayak all this basic knowledge, yeah, and all this kayak common design, kayak the structure of it, it's very important, yeah, because pasti ada orang di luar sana kayak yang lebih ngerti kayak, oh kenapa sih desainnya seperti ini gitu, kayak kenapa portfolio gue kayak gini gitu. karena it follows a certain flow gitu. It's a homepage and it tells me who I am and it shows my projects and what are my skills and more about me, and then how you can connect with me. So there's a certain flow to it, you know, to a website. It's sort of like telling a story, right? It's very important as well. Jadi ya seperti itu. Nah, sejauh ini ada pertanyaan nggak? After this, I'll be getting into our last part for this workshop, which is deployment. Tapi sebelum itu, kira-kira ada pertanyaan nggak? Kalau ada pertanyaan, boleh silahkan turn on your mic, or you can, you know, chat in the chat box. Feel free to do that. Okay, if there's no any question, all right, I'll just create a random website right now, like a very random website. Let's put in like a section. I mean, just put in H1. This is a random website. Hello world. Okay, this is a random website. Hello world. So, for example, if you are finished with creating your website, how do you want to deploy it? There are actually many different deployment websites right now out there. Okay, let's start it a bit. Let's make it nice a bit. Each one, color red. Okay, that's cool enough. Okay, jadi kayak di luar sana tuh, kalau kalian cari di Google ya, kalau deploy website, itu sebenarnya ada banyak banget. Salah satunya yang aku akan pakai sekarang itu adalah Netlify. Netlify is very simple. If you know GitHub, you can connect it with your GitHub, and it's very easy to deploy from there. Or you can even drag and drop. Right? Tapi kayak ada banyak, ada Shopify, ada Netlify, gitu-gitu ya. Kita sekarang untuk hari ini akan pakai namanya Netlify. Very simple. So I just open up netlify.com, Netlify. Yeah, it shows up as the very first thing, search result. Nah, di sini kalian login aja, aku login. Nah, kalau udah login seperti ini, nah nanti di sini ya, kalian bisa add new site. Ya, jadi contoh kayak ini aku udah ada pernah deploy satu website, kayak random website yang aku belajar aja gitu, sempat belajar. So if you click on it, and they should give me a random link that you can go to, just copy and paste it. Karena aku suka MACD, jadi dulu itu aku suka main-main dengan website MACD. It's a random folder as the one I created. So okay, so yeah, it's like the basic structure of it. This is a header, this is a nav bar. You can even input video on it, like video. Karena waktu itu ada di BTS. Terus ada kayak you can create something like this, button. You can make it even like something like this. This all CSS, by the way. It's all HTML CSS. I have not used any JavaScript on it, so you can do something like this. It's all HTML CSS. Very simple, right? You can even see all menu. This one I hover, and then you should change the background color to transparent. This one as well. These are all HTML CSS, right? Very simple. So you could do something like this. You know, you don't have to be advanced, anything like that. You just have to really understand HTML and CSS, right? Okay, enough of this. So how do we deploy website? So we just need to add new site, and we just do import an existing project, I think. Oh, never mind. No. Let's see. And let's start from deploy manually. There you go. Deploy manually, you just have to drag and drop your website. Sure, you should drop a folder with your site, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So for in this case, make sure that you have saved all, you have saved everything. It's all safe. Yeah, save, and just drag and drop down here. Ini lagi loading ya. Bentar. Desktop. CSS. Oh, okay, it's loading right now. But once you're done, you should see a new website that's been created, and you should let it rest for a while because it needs to set up some stuff on the server. And once you're done, you should have the link, and yeah, you can use that link to open up your website. Mungkin linknya agak aneh, ya kan? Soalnya ini it's free, right? For now it's free. Jadi kayak contoh kayak yang ini kayak inspiring Farham Hira, ya whatever this is, aneh banget, ya kan? Netlify.app gitu. This is a random link that's given to you, but okay, why is this taking so long? Deploy manually, browse to upload, desktop, and then I want the HTML CSS, upload. This will upload fast. Only do this if you trust the site. Upload. Oh, okay, now it's uploading. See, now it says deploying your site, and the site has not been deployed. There you go. Once it's done, it should give you hilarious one star about the Netlify.app. So you just have to open this, and it should render. There you go. This is a random website. Hello world. Now you can even open it anywhere you want. You can share it to your friend. I'll share it to the chat box. You can even open this. So yeah, it works. You know. Jadi kayak untuk sekarang itu mungkin untuk practice gitu-gitu ya bisa pakai ini. Nah tapi kayak kalian bisa lihat sini nomor 2 set up custom domain. Nah custom domain ini yang kalian harus beli. Ya biasanya itu kalian bisa beli aja buy a custom domain. Ya, kan. Nah itu ada banyak. Kalau domain itu kalau di Indo itu ada banyak, ada Niaga Hoster gitu-gitu. Nah di Niaga Hoster gitu-gitu juga sebenarnya mereka ada untuk deployment ada, tapi mereka berbayar ya kan. Nah untuk practice ya udah di sini aja gitu menurut aku. Nah untuk custom domainnya kalian beli aja dari Niaga Hoster, terus nanti itu ada prosesnya, itu bisa dibaca lagi di domain setting gitu, kayak try to find there are tutorials on it. There are tons of tutorials online, so it's very easy to do. Jadi kayak makanya kenapa aku bisa ada website contoh kayak owennggimli.com ini karena aku beli owennggimli.com-nya. Terus ya udah owennggimli.com ini aku setting. Nah sekarang jadi setiap kali aku owennggimli.com, it will bring me to my website. So yeah, any questions so far? Maybe. Oh, anything that you don't understand? Mikrofon jadi pengen connect di, nah kan? Oh, kalau owenggimli.com kemana ya? Aku lupa ya. Kalau nggak salah itu GitHub bukan ya? Kayaknya bukan deh. Aku lupa aku deploy kemana. Tapi kalau nggak salah sih Niaga Hoster ya. Kalau nggak salah. Iya, pokoknya salah satu inilah Niaga Hoster hosting kan. Nah, kalau nggak salah di sini Niaga Hoster. Tapi waktu itu aku belum tahu tentang Netlify sih. Jadi kayak aku bayar gitu kan. Aku bayar setahun gitu. Usually when you deploy a website, usually what will be expensive is the hosting. It will be quite expensive. Custom domain would not be that expensive. Setahun bayar berapa? Kalau setahun bayar berapa itu tergantung dari penyedia hostingnya. Nah itu bisa beda-beda pricingnya. Misalnya hosting itu beda-beda. Ada yang 10.000 per bulan, ada 40.000 per bulan, 26.000 per bulan. Jadi itu benar-benar tergantung gitu. Kalau website MACD ada reponya, aduh, ada nggak ya? Mari kita lihat. Oh ada. Ini aku share ya. Nah ini benar-benar kalau kalian lihat benar-benar index.html doang. Kayak you can see all this, like I'll share it to you guys. Jadi kayak benar-benar kalian bisa lihat kayak aku pakai div apa gitu-gitu. Dan ini benar-benar cuma pakai index sama CSS. Ya, CSS-nya ada banyak. Tapi ya, you guys will maybe get the hang of it later. I'll share this. Hang on. Nah, kan? Salah kan? Okay, I'll paste it into the link. Yeah, so feel free to like open it and you can download it. You can just press on the green button up here, quote, download zip, it should download all the file here. Okay, I don't know why there's a DS store here. I've not ignored it, but yeah, don't worry about it. Just download zip, and yeah, you can start. So, example, you wanna practice using my my McDonald website, right? Itu benar-benar kalian tinggal download aja kayak gini, ya kan? Nah, ini kalian harus, I'll create a new window, ya kan? Window baru. Nah, di sini itu ada mana nih MacD? Ini. Nah, ini kalian tinggal buka aja, kalian unzip it. After kalian unzip it, you should have a folder. It should have all the file, ya kan? You should just drag and drop it into Visual Studio Code. Dari sini kalian bisa lihat tuh indeks HTML-nya, ya kan? Nah, kalau kalian mau lihat dia secara live, bisa go live di sini, sama seperti ini live server, tinggal pencet go live aja, it should open up here, gitu. Very simple. Jadi kalau kalian mau coba ganti-ganti apa gitu, ya sambil go live gitu kan, jadi kayak kelihatan perubahannya gitu. Ya, gitu aja sih. Very simple. Kalau di internet itu soalnya ada banyak banget kalian bisa belajar. Kalau rekomendasi aku ya YouTube itu cari Kevin Powell. This is a very good CSS YouTuber that you can learn a lot about it. Jadi ya siapa tahu lagi makan malam atau lagi makan siang, lagi toilet, pengen nonton YouTube, ya kan? Itu nonton aja kayak gini Kevin Powell gitu. Atau ya banyak sih kalau di YouTube itu banyak banget yang belajar tentang web development gitu, banyak. Ada yang bahasa Indo bahkan, kalau misalnya if you think that your English limited, kayak terlalu susah buat diingetin gitu. How to change the font? Okay, I'll show you one last one then. Just how to change fonts here. Maybe I'll create this, and maybe I'll drag this one here and just open with live server. Oke. Nah, untuk sekarang itu kan kita pakainya basic CSS, ya kan? Kita bisa ganti, misalnya contoh H1 ini, kita ganti font family. Nah, ini ada banyak lah. Kalian bisa pilih salah satu. Misalnya aku ganti jadi Verdana gitu ya. Aku save. Nah, dia berubah gitu. Tapi biasanya basic CSS font ini yang kalian lihat di sini ini ya, itu menurut aku kurang aja ya. It's not that pretty, not that nice, not that static at all. Jadi apa yang kalian bisa lakuin? Kalian bisa ke website namanya Google Fonts. Okay. Google Fonts. It should show up as the first search result as well. Fonts.google.com. Buka aja. Nah, dari Google Fonts ini kalian bisa lihat banyak banget kayak font-font yang keren, yang bagus. Yang terkenal tuh kayak Montserrat, Poppins, ini terkenal, banyak banget yang dipakai. Tapi kita akan ambil yang agak aneh. Okay, let's take Smooch for example. So what you want to do is, let's remove all. So you should have something like this. This should be empty, ya. Nah, caranya kita mau pakai Smooch ini dalam website kita, itu kita bisa pencet aja select this style, ya. Nah, dia akan kasih di atas ini, pastikan ini udah benar, Smooch regular 400, ya kan? Nah, di bawah sini ada suatu link ini, ya kan? Dari link ini kalian copy, ya, kalian copy. Nah, kalian paste aja dalam HTML kalian. Ini aku HTML. Nah, paste-nya di mana? Di head tag kalian. Nah, di head tag kalian ini kalian paste aja. Ada kayak tiga link ini, 1, 2, 3, save. Ya, ada 3 link kayak gini. Nah, kalau udah kayak gini, nah kalian bisa pakai fontnya. Bagaimana caranya? Kalian ke CSS aja. Nih, kalian di bawah sini dia ada tulis ini, CSS rules. Nah, pakai font family, Smooch, cursive. Aku copy aja, ganti di sini, tinggal di kayak gini. Kalau aku save, harusnya dia berubah. Tuh, dia berubah jadi Smooch. Ya, jadi kalau misalnya kalian mau nyari benar-benar font yang bagus gitu, Google Font sih biasanya orang pakai itu. Soalnya Google Font itu supported by, I think it's, if I'm not wrong, it's supported by any browser gitu. Ya, jadi kayak should be a problem at all. Kalau kalian mau gedein, mau apa, ini kan tinggal pakai CSS saja. Jadi kayak font size, make it 32, maybe 60 pixel. There you go. Yeah, that's basically what you need to do. So, any question maybe so far? Jadi kapan-kapan kalau kalian ada bikin startup sendiri gitu kan, daripada bayar orang, ya apa-apa sih bayar orang, siapa tahu kan. Tapi kayak kalau kalian mau bikin sendiri, nyoba-nyoba gitu kan, it's nicer gitu. It's more customizable by yourself gitu. Nah kan nggak gitu, tapi ya siapa tahu ada yang mau. Saya kan nggak nolak gitu ya. Tapi yeah, I think that's all about it for HTML and CSS. It's very basic. I know, like, I'm sorry, it's very basic. Yeah, jadi you must, I would say, yeah, you must learn more on the web, on just Google it up, HTML, CSS, learn more about them, watch more people, and practice. Yeah, you need to practice so you get used to it. Yeah, I think that's about it. Yeah, thank you so much, and I'll pass it back to Aurellia. Hello.
Oke, thank you Owen. Keren nih, keren. Kira-kira apa nih, Wen? Di seri selanjutnya bakal bahas apa nih? Kayak misalkan kita bakal recreate website kayak Apple atau McD mungkin ya? Atau apa nih kira-kira, Wen?
Kalau itu bisa. Ntar aku bisa mungkin sesi selanjutnya bisa demoin gimana cara buat websitenya gitu. Bagaimana aku biasanya buat websitenya gitu ya. Kalian bisa lihat workflow aku gitu, sampai gitu.
Oke, sip, mantap nih. Jadi tungguin ya guys di next session buat series kali ini, yaitu HTML and CSS 101. Oke, mungkin aku buka sesi Q&A sekali lagi, terakhir. Misalkan ada yang mau ditanyain, mumpung ada Owen di sini, Owen bisa kembali on cam mungkin temenin.
Iya. Sorry.
Biar yang lain bisa lihat nih, kalau yang tadi awal-awal belum datang, nah ini Owen, ini dia yang
Halo.
Oke. Kalau ada yang mau ditanyain lagi, mumpung masih ada Owen di sini, silakan bisa tanya lewat chat, bisa juga on cam, on mic juga boleh. Tuh, Owen pengen tahu dong tips and trick jadi web developer yang keren kayak Koko. Aduh, gimana tuh, Wen?
Aduh, Dre. Gak ada sih sebenarnya tips and trick saya itu apa ya? Jadi web developer tuh ya practice sih. Kayak benar-benar kalau kalian emang pengen jadi jago itu ya buat terus saja website. Kayak pertama-pertama mungkin ya udah copy website orang gitu, bikin ulang gitu. Tapi kok udah mulai confident gitu, ya mungkin belajar desain juga gitu. Setelah didesain terus ya udah dibikinin jadi website gitu. Nah, jadi kayak kalau soalnya web developer itu menurut aku harus belajar terus sih. Soalnya framework yang ada untuk web developer itu kan banyak banget, bukan cuma HTML dan CSS kan. Jadi kayak kalau kalian ke depannya ntar mau mendalami lagi, itu ada kayak JavaScript. Nah, JavaScript itu bagus banget, sangat useful ya. Kayak kalian mau bikin animation gitu-gitu, it's very useful. Jadi kayak menurut aku sih, ya udah kayak practice aja terus belajar gitu.
Yes, mungkin ada tambahan satu lagi kalau kalian mau sejago Owen di setelah makan atau apa gitu ya, di waktu free kalian itu nontonnya YouTube tentang CSS. Nggak ada tuh dia nonton apa podcast dan lain-lain, nggak ada.
Tools desain apa yang paling bagus buat dev? Itu yang itu. Nanti itu mungkin Owenn kali ya bakal ngajarin pakai Figma gimana. Nah, itu Figma itu bagus banget. Jadi kalian bisa bikin prototype, bisa bikin prototype website, mobile gitu ya. Itu semuanya bisa pakai Figma. Nah, ntar itu bakal dibahas sama Owenn gitu, Pak jagonya. Gitu. BTW, ini Andre juga jago website loh. Ngomong-ngomong ya, Andre. Siapa tahu ada yang mau buat website sama Andre juga.
Oke, ada yang tanya dari Swandewi ya. Mau tanya di luar materi, Kak. Kira-kira kalau mau ikut next event atau bahkan tertarik gabung di GDSC Prasmul gimana nih? Oke, gimana nih? Mungkin kita akan serahin ke Calvin kali ya. Ini pertanyaan yang bagus untuk dijawab oleh Calvin. Silakan Calvin.
Orang lagi nggak apa-apa.
Oke. Nanti mungkin kita bakal share link untuk pendaftaran GDSC Prasmul di WA group yang sudah ada ya. Jadi nanti kita bisa masukin kalian yang daftar di link itu ke grup lain kita. Di sana kita akan share next event kita, next event kita, dan kira-kira apa aja yang bakal kita lakuin. Mungkin nanti weekly meetingnya juga akan di-share di sana. Ya itu, yang penting jangan leave WA grupnya dulu, nanti kita bakal bikin grup lain dan Discord. Oke. Tuh. Harusnya ngomong, Vin. Langsung on mic loh. Boleh, Mas. Jangan lupa weekly meeting di setiap hari Selasa. Oke, kira-kira ada pertanyaan lain lagi? Sip, sama-sama. Nih, ada Kevin Adrian Halim, sepertinya salah alamat. Dia tanya, Kak Owen, Koko buka les buat web developer gak?
Aduh, Pin. Jadi kalau untuk web development, ya nggak sih, nggak buka les. Tapi kayak kalau misalnya along the way, kalian perlu bantuan, feel free to ask me. I would love to help you guys. That's not a problem. Jadi kayak, just, kalian bisa connect dengan aku di GitHub, jangan, di LinkedIn gitu, atau di Line juga boleh, atau WA. Just go to my website, owengimli.com. You should find all the details there. Jadi kayak, yaudah, salah satu aja. Kontak aja.
Oke.
Kalau Cici Aurel ini emang biasa jadi speaker biasanya.
Enggak kok, enggak. Oke. Oke, mantap. Kalau mau lihat saya jadi speaker, harus ikut next eventnya gitu aja sampai ada muka aku. Oke. Gimana? Ada pertanyaan lain kah? Oke, mungkin nanti kalau misalkan kalian butuh referensi belajar, terutama video-video YouTube yang bagus tuh, kalian bisa banget tanya Owenn. Owenn tuh memang masternya sumber-sumber yang bagus. Oke.
Jadi malu.
Bagaimana Calvin? Udah. Ini kayaknya mulai out of topic. Oke, mungkin kita sesi foto bersama ya. Nanti kalau misalkan kalian ada pertanyaan bisa disampaikan melalui WA group, atau misalkan kalian mau kontak Owen langsung juga bisa. Tadi bisa kunjungi websitenya owengimli.com. Udah kayak promosi Owen. Di sana bisa kontak ke Owen, bisa tanya-tanya ke Owen. Nah itu. Pokoknya tentang web apapun, tentang web development bisa tanya ke Owen. Owen sudah masternya. Oke, sekarang aku minta kalian on cam semua nih, kita bisa sesi foto bersama sebelum kita tutup acaranya. Oke, bentar. Oke, yuk. On cam yuk. Siapa nih? Januari.
On cam, Bre.
Monica Samuel, Stan Aurelius, Brian, Adeline, Kevin Adrian Halim. Ya, ditunggu semuanya on cam nih, baru di screenshot. Jamie Mawinarto boleh on cam. Siapa lagi nih?
Kan, kok Kevin, kok ganteng ini juga bisa web development juga buat cewek. Siapa tahu kalian interested gitu kan, cari aja Kevin Adrian Halim di Instagram. Aduh, single juga guys, nyari cewek. Nah kan.
Oke.
Nah ini lebih ganteng lagi nih Koko Andre. Nah, dia juga bisa web development, jago juga. Siapa tahu dari Palembang gitu kan, mau empek Palembang ya kan. Koko Andre ada gitu.
Malah promosi ya, ya bagus.
Mas.
Nanti mungkin teman-temannya bisa diajak jadi speaker juga, boleh ya, Wen ya. Sharing.
Boleh.
Oke. Siapa lagi nih? Ayo dong, on cam dong. Sandewi, Monica Samuel, Evita, Hananta, Beatrice, Jamie Mawinarto, Akal. Oke. Masih ditunggu. Oke, nggak apa-apa Beatrice. Yang lainnya, Catherine Dominic. Oke. Oke, sedikit lagi yang belum on cam. Ada Monica Samuel, Gerard Brian, Catherine Dominic. 3 orang ini. Oke. Mungkin mereka berhalangan untuk on cam. Kita foto dulu aja ya yang udah on cam. Oke. Aku screenshot ya. 1, 2, 3. Oke, bentar.
Oh, biasanya kalau acara-acara GDSC pakai ini loh.
Gimana?
Logo GDSC, logo Angel pakai.
Oke. Boleh. Mari, Vin, dicontohin.
Contohnya lah, Kak.
Gimana logonya? Gini. Oh, gini guys. Ayo guys. Aku satu aja ya berarti karena gak cukup.
Iya,
Oke.
HTML tag.
Biar ingat meresap materinya. Oke, 1, 2, 3. Oke, mantap. Mau lagi? Atau udah cukup nih? Udah ya. Oke. Udah sih. Oh ya, sama mau ingetin aja terakhir, buat yang tadi di awal belum join mungkin, boleh kunjungi website ini lagi. Bentar, aku coba share screen ulang. Bentar. Oke. Untuk penutupan terakhir, aku mau ingetin lagi yang belum masuk ke website ini boleh di join di sana. Itu untuk absensi untuk acara hari ini, jadi kalian bisa join di sini. Kalau misalkan kalian belum login, nanti di sini harusnya ada tulisan login login to RSVP kayak gitu ya. Tinggal ditekan aja, nanti kalian tinggal sign up buat akun kalau misalkan kalian belum buat. Terus nanti ditekan RSVP-nya aja kayak gitu. Mungkin aku RSVP, aku coba ulang ya biar jelas. Nah ini, nanti tampilannya kayak gini kalau kalian udah sign up. Kalian bisa tinggal RSVP saja di sini. Terus dilengkapin aja formulirnya, terus di-submit kayak gitu. Oke, itu aja sih. Nanti untuk event-event selanjutnya, jadi kalian nggak perlu sign up lagi, tinggal RSVP saja di sana. Untuk detail eventnya juga bakal ada di website ini selalu kayak gitu. Jadi pantengin terus aja websitenya. Oke, kayaknya sekian dulu. Mungkin Owen ada kata-kata terakhir.